Nestled in the heart of Staffordshire, amid 150 acres of beautiful trees and shrubs, lies a place of peace and tranquility. The National Memorial Arboretum was first thought up in the late 1980s as a living tribute to servicemen and women. The Armed Forces Memorial is the focus of the Arboretum. It is an impressive and stunning structure. 43 metres in diameter, its curved stone walls hold the names of all the members of the armed forces who were killed on duty since 1945.
This part of the memorial, this is the main memorial, isn't it?
It is. It's called the Armed Forces Memorial, and it's dedicated to anyone who's died in action for the British military or as a result of terrorism. We do get those names on as well.
So we're standing next to the part that's for 1982 towards the end of here and also around the corner. So just tell us, because you, as we were walking up here, you were telling me about some particular names get more of a touch than others.
They do, yes, yeah. In particular, H. Jones, of course, and the way he died, and he actually received a VC for his heroism, and he's named on the wall, and for some reason people always remember him and like to touch the memorial and run their fingers along his name, so the actual name became very shiny and became known as the Shiny Memorial. But as we've just had it cleaned, that's going to happen all over again. But people have a lot of feedback. Just touching a name on a wall means an awful lot to people.
Do you get a lot of visitors come here with connections to the Falklands War?
Oh yes, an awful lot. If you think of the men, because they were mainly men then, who now are retired and thinking back on their life in the Navy, and of course that was such a big event to them, and they come very often in groups. We find men in groups, and you see them straight over to 1982 and you realise they're here and they were in Falklands. At 11 o'clock it's designed so that the sunlight shines through the aperture in the wall and falls onto the wreath in the centre. It's very moving because as everything goes quiet for the 2-minute silence, then if the sun is shining, the sun just creeps through and lands onto the wreath in the centre. A very moving memorial.
The Arboretum was officially opened in 2001 and has now evolved to include not only the memorials for armed forces but also civilian organisations, including a beautiful wood dedicated to children and babies who have died. A short wander from the main memorial is a familiar coloured stone taken from the Falklands to form part of a memorial dedicated to the events of 1982.
We're standing here at the Falklands Memorial. It's relatively new, isn't it?
Yes, well it was put here on the 30th anniversary of the conflict, and before that we just had a tree and a plaque, and so we were so pleased to receive this with all the stones, the large stones on it came actually from the Falklands, and on the day of the dedication we did have a lot of people from the Falklands who came for the dedication, which was very special. So we have a map here of the flight down by the Vulcan to the Falklands when they bombed the harbour, which was a historic event and is shown on our television an awful lot. Yeah. We have a stone in the middle which came from the Falklands and contains the names of the 3 lady civilians who died on the Falklands, and all the badges from the different services who were involved.
The whole of the National Memorial Arboretum, I mean, how big is it?
There's 150 acres and over 330 memorials now, and they're increasing nearly every week, you know, so every time we come on duty as a volunteer we have to go out and trace the new memorials so we know, because people are coming all the time to find them. So yes, this is part of the Naval Review, and all the memorials behind here are to British naval ships, and then beyond it is a ward for the Merchant Navy. There are 2,535 trees in there, all dedicated to a merchant ship that went down in the Atlantic in the Second World War, trying to keep us going in this country with food and provisions, and we lost all those ships through that time.
Further along is the Allied Special Forces Memorial Grove, which leads neatly into a young garden walk known as the Falklands Memorial Way.
In conjunction with the main memorial up in the Arboretum, quite a number of my friends lost their lives in the Falklands, people I served with in the SES back in the 1970s. The idea of this came about for a number of reasons. One was because the SES were there serving. I didn't actually go, but then also the sheer fact that the islanders put up what I would call the first British resistance to the invaders on the islands, whether it was subtly, covertly, whether it was sending pictures back through people leaving, anything to cause disruption to an enemy force, cutting cables, generally being unhelpful to an invading army.
So there's quite a few of the civilians are remembered here. We've seen a few of them, but there is three very young lads who were at Mount Longdon.
Well, just over here there's a nice memorial set in the gardens here in our Airborne Forces area, and those three lads were killed along with their sergeant when they were charging a 5.0 Browning machine gun post with fixed bayonets, and they were just aged 17. One was just on his birthday, he was 18.
And we've come through, and there's an upland goose. It's an upland goose, isn't it?
Upland goose. Well, originally the goose was made by school children many years, probably 8 or 9 years ago, and it was twice that size, but it got a bit unwieldy and nobody could use it or didn't know where to put it up in the rest of the Arboretum. Another group of school children came in, they narrowed it down to the size it is now, re-willowed it, we put it down here, and then we decided to do something with it because of the commemoration in the sunroom to the lads who lost their lives in the helicopter crash in the South Atlantic. Then we had Phil Carrass's memorial come in, Taff Hughes' memorial, and so the whole idea developed. The Falklands Memorial Way as plastic tracking to help disabled people and those less a bit wobbly on their feet to help them along, and it leads all the way down to a new memorial we're establishing at the end of the grove here called the Pegasus Bridge Memorial Flight. And so the memorial way come to about here, and then there's another memorial going in there, but the goose is there. It's surrounded by cider apple and perry trees. We've planted all around it crocus, there's daffodils in there, and the 3 plaques commemorating the ladies who lost their lives behind enemy lines in the Falklands due to a shell from one of our ships are commemorated here as well, and their memorials face south towards the Falklands. The sundial, the family of Phil Carrass and his mother wanted to do something different. They wanted to have a rock from the quarry where he used to live, and then his son Sean decided to design a sundial. I suggested a sundial to him. I wasn't quite expecting this most marvellous stainless steel sundial, all engraved, to turn up.
It's beautiful.
It is. It's absolutely superb. And when the truck came in with the rock on the back, they said, "Where's the JCB to lift it off?" I said, "Well, we're the JCB," and we just did it Egyptian fashion, hooved it up. Even his mother was helping putting logs under. We rolled it all in and got it up in place, and then Sean put the sundial on the top, and it is absolutely accurate.
And you've had some visitors from the Falklands, haven't you?
Yes, we have. We've had Michael Paul here. We've had the chap from the Defence Force. I can't quite remember his name, but we did have over 300 people here for a dedication of the Falklands Memorial Way by the Lord Lieutenant of Staffordshire, and the unveiling of the Falkland Islanders Resistance Memorial, as we call it, the first British resistance since the Second World War, unveiled by Michael Paul.
But it's not just military here, is it?
No. We have about 70% military, we say, and the other 30% is made up of individuals and organisations who just wish someone remembered in some way, and Treason Memorials are a lovely way of remembering people. Lots of trees to individuals, lots of trees to children, and babies who were lost at birth. Organisations such as that are here too. We were an old quarry, the land, and they're quarrying at the back of us now, and when they finished, we think about 4 years' time, they're going to give us then another 80 acres so we can start planting trees again, because at the moment we're just absolutely full of trees, and we're going on to benches and paviours and such to remember people by until we can plant more trees.